Hi, it's Elspeth. I have a new camera set up, so we have to hope that I can figure it out. Today I wanted to talk to you about how we can use different cards in games. Some games call for cards and other games don't, but you can still use them. So the most common deck of cards that you'll be called upon to use is your standard poker deck. You have played with these, I'm sure. And the one thing that I would say is make sure that you have the jokers, because a lot of the games will use the jokers as signifiers for something. Also, I want to tell you these plastic card cases are really good for carrying your cards around in. So the second most common deck you're going to be asked to use is a tarot deck. I keep mine in this little book thing that I got at Amazon. It hides it from my parents. And the most commonly used tarot deck is the Rider-Waite. And the Rider-Waite is, you don't have to know how to read the cards. You really don't. You can just take a look at what's happening in the cards and make up a story about it. All right. Or I have several tarot books. The one that I would recommend most highly to you is Cassandra Eason's Complete Guide to the Tarot. And it's going to show you what every card means. It's going to give you a lot of detail. Then it's going to teach you how to do spreads and stuff, which you don't generally have to know how to do, but it's in the book just in case you want to learn it. All right. However, I want to show you something even cooler. I bought a deck when I was just getting started called the Whimsical Tarot. And this deck is based on the fairy tales and folk tales that we all grew up on. The Three Little Pigs, Hansel and Gretel, the Goose Girl, you name it. So let's see. So here, this card is the story of making stone soup. And here are the Three of Swords is Hansel and Gretel lost in the woods. Here we have a young lady wishing upon a star. Here we have Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over a candlestick. The Three Little Pigs is the tower, which is perfect. And then some of them don't have actual stories attached to them, but you can kind of feel like maybe this is Queen Guinevere and Arthur has just sailed off on a mission and she's toasting his departure. All right. We have a fairy godmother here as the high priestess. The owl and the pussycat is the Two of Cups. So you can see what I'm talking about. You probably know most of these stories. If you don't, it comes with a little book that explains what story is being pictured and what it might mean. I love these cards. They're pretty, they're easy to handle, and they're very easy to read. You can literally have somebody do their own tarot reading with these cards because we all know the stories. All right, the next thing I want to tell you about is something called the Game Master's Apprentice. And this is the fantasy deck, I believe, but the Game Master's Apprentice, we're gonna leave a link in the notes to a place on the web where you could have one of these drawn for you every time you reload the page. So you don't even have to invest in the deck. But there are a number of things that you see here. Let's say you're out and about, you don't have dice with you. Here are the different rolls of the dice and what the results are, the odds on something happening. Let's say you're in a dungeon, you don't have a game master, so you don't know what's happening in this dungeon, but this tells you that there is the squealing of a badly tuned violin. You know you're about to meet a mad musician. there are belongings. Let's say you find a dead body or a skeleton in the dungeon, and the belongings there would be a treasure map with a clever riddle and the coordinates to the treasure. There are names here, there are virtues and vices, locations, personality shifts. I really like this deck. I will randomly draw from it frequently. I bought one of these things. This is called a card tray. This is a 6-deck card tray, and it holds, like, because I cheaped out on having the cards printed, and I printed them on regular printer paper and then stuck them in there with regular playing cards. They're a little thicker than normal. But this 6 or 9 deck card tray really holds them nicely. All right, now there's a place that makes some really cool stuff. It's called SideQuest Games, and they make these decks. And look, I can't draw to save my soul, and so it's really helpful for me to have somebody else draw the dungeon that I'm going into. So let me take a look at this. This is one of Dyson's dungeons. I love his drawings. And so you see the different rooms here. They're all gridded out. On the back of the card, even better, it tells you that there's strong magic in this dungeon. It says a botched summoning has turned the hapless magician into a dungeon in his own right, and in it dwell monsters. So the PCs are meeting with the summoner regarding an unrelated matter. One of the creatures from within attacks the local peasants, and the PCs pursue it back to the summoner's dwelling. And then it's got encounters here. The mage's home is full of odd vermin shaped vaguely like hands. Ugh, that sounds gross. A doorway framed with gnashing mandibles leads into a corridor too long to fit in the house. So there's all kinds of stuff here. And there's even a follow-up adventure idea that says the magical space collapses and the PCs will have to flee before it detaches from reality entirely. So these are really cool. The SideQuest makes a lot of these decks. They have like a science fiction deck. They have wilderness decks, ruins, towns, all kinds of, I think they have like 12 of these decks. I'm not sure, but I really like them. And I got 4 of them for my birthday this year. And, you know, I love my friends. And then I want to encourage you to go in, if you have any games from the past, go into your closet where you're keeping all those games and see what you can find, because I bet you can find stuff that you can use. So I found when my parents moved out of state, they left a bunch of games. And so one of the games, I didn't keep the whole game, but I kept the cards. This is called Scruples. I'm pretty sure it's from the 80s and not made anymore, but if you can find a copy, these cards are kind of fun. So this one says, a disheveled young man incoherently asks you for directions. You notice he's wearing a hospital ID bracelet. Do you notify the hospital? All right. So this is set in modern times, but maybe instead of a hospital bracelet, he has some kind of magical mark on him. Do you get him to a healer? So see, you can take something that's completely unrelated and make it work. Speaking of completely unrelated, when I had cancer, I had people get me a bunch of these kind of decks. This is 52 Ways to Stay Young at Heart. And I never opened them. I honestly, when I was having chemotherapy, I couldn't read. So these were very bad gifts for me. But I thought, when I was going through my closet, I thought, well, let me just look at those. So I'm not sure how good these are going to be, but keep learning might mean that maybe it's time for me to pick up a new magic spell. Make believe might mean that I might impersonate somebody in order to get something that I want. Nap time. When do your adventurers rest in the middle of a dungeon? Are they safe? What happens during nap time? So, you know, you can just draw these randomly and then see what happens with them. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of those, but the next thing I'm going to show you is Friday. This is a solo board game. I have had this for several years. It does not matter how many times I play this game. I always lose. Either the pirates kill me or I'm eaten by cannibals. It never fails. I actually have this out to play tonight because I'm apparently willing to die today. There's not a lot in this game that you could do. However, there are cards, and there are specifically certain cards that have the perils on them. So you have to explore the island. You have to further explore the island. You have to make a raft and go out to the wreck of the ship. I don't know how I got all these exploring the island ones. There are also cards for wild animals and for cannibals. Like I said, it's the cannibals that always get me. So that's something that you can do. Also in this, there's the Robinson Crusoe cards where you can draw for his status. So here he's weak. He's weak a lot, distracted, focused, very stupid, hungry, stupid. So, I mean, you could even draw those. Anyway, so it's worth looking at all of the games you have in your closet to see if there's anything in there that you can use to bring a new little twist to your adventures. But now I want to show you my favorite thing. So this is the In Dreams card deck. It's a journaling game. I play this with a 14-year-old who I mentor. It gives you prompts and then you write a story based on the prompts. So there are two kinds of cards in here. Well, first off, before I even show you the cards, let me show you the character building. Where's the book? Here it is. So so you generate a character, not like we do in Dungeons and Dragons, but it is I am and am, and before the stream's end, I must. And so you could actually do this with dice. So, but you're only rolling between 2 and 4. So let's say that you generally don't do this with dice. In this, you do it with the numbers that you draw on the cards. But let's say that I draw a 32, let's say a 23. So I am from far away. And now I draw 2 more numbers and I am lost. I draw 42 and I'm lost. And before this stream ends, I must release magic. All right, so if those were the numbers that I drew, then that would be the story that I needed to write. And then I would use these cards to tell the story. Now, listen, if you don't like AI art, you are not going to like these cards. That's fine. I am not invested in whether you like the cards or not. The reason why I like the cards is that the cards are not a specific thing. So when I played this, like I said, with my 14-year-old friend, she and I could look at the same card and see 2 different things. They are very ambiguous in what they show, and I really like that. So let me show you. So this first card has a 4. That means I'm going to have 4 cards. So I'm still trying to figure out this layout here. So I don't know if you see, like, The white arrow on this card points to this. So the first part of the prompt is fire. And then this points to alone in the crowd. And this points to removal of barriers. And now I'm going to flip this card over so I just have a picture and an arrow on the back. And it says, forgotten memory. And this looks to me like a stack of books with like a crystal mountain in the back. And this would be the location where this story occurs. All right, I have my character, and now I'm going to write a story that's in this location, and it's going to involve fire, feeling alone in a crowd, removing barriers, and uncovering a forgotten memory. All right, so this is a good prompt generator for what's happening next in your game, but I'm more excited about the event cards. These don't come out very often in the journaling game, but you pull one with the black part up and then one with the white up. And so the black arrow points over to, you hear the beat of a drum. What does it signal the beginning of? And this white arrow tells you how you should feel about that, and you're reminiscent about it. And so if you're in the dungeon and you're hearing that beat of a drum and you're feeling reminiscent, is it because you were in a dungeon and you heard the beat of a drum and you were attacked, or it was a rescue party coming to save you? What is it exactly that beat of the drum is reminding you of? So I like these event prompts. And even though there are, I don't know how many cards, it's not a lot, they're different every time you roll them because it depends on which one is paired with which and how the arrows line up. So that is just a look at the cards that you're probably going to see called for in games, the standard poker deck and the tarot cards, and an alternative for the standard tarot. And then some other decks that I enjoy playing with. So I hope that that gave you some ideas. Have a wonderful evening. This is Elspeth out.